Well, I found this area on a map, but it's marked off as private property or something. So, looks like I'm not going to get to ride here. I don't know. Looks like we got some kids down here with dirt bikes. Unless this sign is talking about that area. What's that?
They're shooting in that area, just be careful.
Okay. Oh, I can hear it now.
I figured you couldn't hear it.
That's weird. There's a sign that says no trespassing, but not only is that guy sitting there with his kids on quads, there's people out here shooting guns. That's interesting. Well, I think I found a new riding area. Those people are out here shooting guns a lot. I have a topic for today, I just haven't gotten to it yet. This is not a good trail for these tires. I can't even see the sand, it's so bright out here. I may have to turn around and go right around to the neighborhood to do this vlog, because I can't handle this quicksand. Well, let's see. I use two different types of helmet cameras. I use one that I keep on my helmet, and then I use one that I use when I'm camping. The one that I use on my helmet is a Drift HD Ghost, and the one that I use when I'm camping is a GoPro Hero 4. And those are the two cameras that I have the most experience with. I've been using them both for about 3 years now, and I've got some opinions. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to go through some pros and cons of both these cameras. I have to get out of here because I just realized those guys that are shooting in the direction that I was just in. I'm sure they know what they're doing, but I'm not going to fuck around with that. So let's talk about GoPro first, and let's talk about the cons that I believe it has. Okay, so the first con is that the GoPro camera has to be inside of an airtight plastic case in order to mount to anything. If you don't care about audio, that's not really that big of an issue, because your camera's kind of always going to film and you know it's protected, and you know you can drop it in water or whatever. The problem is you pretty much always want audio, and whether that's the on-camera mic or that's a plug-in mic, you want audio. But that brings me to the second issue, which is that the GoPro does not have a standard 3.5mm audio jack. It doesn't have the input for a normal microphone. And the only way to plug a microphone into it is to buy an adapter that plugs into the little, like, power port. But the plastic case complicates that issue because it's sealed. So if you want to get good audio on your GoPro with an external microphone, you have to get the adapter and you have to drill a hole in the side of your GoPro case, which is, you shouldn't have to do that. They should offer some kind of an option for that, and if anything, they should definitely have the input for a microphone. I don't know why, at this point, they still haven't included that. The next issue is that the audio gain is not adjustable. If you don't know what gain is, it's basically your microphone's sensitivity to noise levels. And if your gain is really low, then it won't necessarily hear me talking at this level, but if my gain's really high, I could whisper right now and you'd hear me fine. Right? That's what an adjustable gain is. And so on my drift camera, I'm able to adjust it. And GoPro doesn't have that, which is ridiculous. It should definitely be in the options. So the last thing about GoPro that really drives me up the wall is that the batteries don't hold a charge when they're not in the camera. Like, I understand if I'm using it, I'm going to run the batteries down, that's fine. I'll stock a bunch of extra batteries. The problem is my batteries that I stock, even if I charge them the night before, the next night, like when I'm camping in the morning, all of those batteries are at half power. All the ones that are in my bag, like, they don't even hold a charge, and it's just, that's silly, and that needs to be addressed. Like, if you're going to be using a GoPro out in the field, you need to rely on that stuff, and you may not have a power source to charge them. But it's not all bad, so let's talk about the pros. Number one is the way it's shaped. It's like a little box with a front-facing camera, which makes it perfect for body-mounted camera mounts, meaning you can get a chest mount and put it on your chest and it fits there perfectly. And if you get a headband mount, like I use when I'm camping, you can attach it to a headband and you can wrap that on your head and you can have a perfect POV view of whatever you're seeing and doing. And as far as I know, it's really the most ideal camera for that sort of work. Another pro is that there's tons of accessory availability, and you can buy almost all of it in the store, and you can go to probably any store that sells electronics and buy some backup mounts, maybe even batteries and things like that. That's really handy. It's also very reliable. I've never had my GoPro fail me. Like if I turned it on, whatever footage it was said it was recording, I have gone home and that footage successfully got recorded, which is not the case with the drift all the time, but I'm going to get to that. And then lastly, obviously, when it's inside of that plastic case, it is completely waterproof, and that means you can jump in an ocean with it, you can jump in a pool with it, you can fall into a river with it, and it'll be fine, and that's pretty freaking cool. However, it's only going to be fine if you haven't drilled a hole in it for your microphone. So that's worth considering. Well, let's talk about the drift, which is the camera I use on my helmet. It's the camera I'm using right now. And let's start with the cons of this camera, things that bother me. So the Drift HD Ghost is not 100% waterproof, and that's because of its design. It's not inside of a case. It just has some buttons and a little panel on the back, and you just open it up and swap the battery. And it is water resistant. I've ridden with this camera in the rain, but I would not want to drop it in water. That would not be good. The second issue is that it sometimes corrupts files for no reason at all. That's extremely irritating, especially when you're doing something like I am, when you're out in the field and you got to rely on it. You're like, well, I hope it works. The good thing about that is, though, if you're paying attention, you can usually tell when it's going to corrupt a file, because when you hit record, the little red light is supposed to flash. If it's solid, that means the camera had an error, and so I usually know I have to pop the battery out. So every time I hit record, I always make sure it's flashing, and I don't usually have a problem. But it's still a bit silly. I mean, the last con really is that it's not ideal for any kind of a body mount, because the shape of the camera is like longer, and so it has to be mounted like kind of parallel to whatever direction you want to look. And I wouldn't want to have to wear this on my head if it wasn't attached to a helmet. But those are really the only cons of this thing. Like, I can't find anything else. I think maybe the buttons could be a little easier to feel, but I mean, even the buttons on top, I consider that to be a pro of this camera, because it's real easy to reach up, hit a button, and hit record, you know? Like, you can tell usually what you're pushing, and then the camera chirps and lets you know that you've hit the button. And then obviously it has a standard microphone input, meaning I can go to the store, buy a lavalier mic, attach it to my camera, put it in my helmet, and we're good to go. And then I can adjust the audio gain so that when I'm riding down the road and there's a bunch of wind noise and I'm trying to talk, like right now, the voice isn't blown out, at least not too much. It is a little blown out, but then it's not too quiet either, and that's one of the reasons why my audio quality actually sounds good. Also, the batteries hold charge, so in the morning after I've camped, if I want to throw in a fresh battery, I can count on it having 3 bars being fully charged, which is important. It's a given. Cameras and batteries need to work like that. But let's see what else. The lens rotates, so if you, whatever direction you're mounting your camera in, whether it's right side up, upside down, sideways, or whatever, you can always twist the lens around and get the right side up view that you want. Or if you want to film something upside down, you can just flip the lens. It's real convenient. And this thing's really been through a lot of abuse, because it's been through rain, it's been through dust. I've definitely dropped it a few times. It's seen some stuff. I've been using the same helmet camera the entire time I've been doing these YouTube videos, and this thing has never really failed me, besides dropping a couple of thankfully not important clips. But I love it, and I don't think I could live with any other action camera. But it's really just my experience with the GoPro and the Drift, so I'm sure there's other ones, like Sony has a good one, but I haven't really tried anything else because I haven't had any reason to. But I would hate to have to deal with the GoPro on my helmet. I'd have to like figure out that microphone situation, and ugh. So yeah, I don't know if you want to get into this. I mean, I know GoPro is usually the go-to and everybody's using it, and I will say that GoPro has a probably a better automatic gain type option. Like if you're yelling a lot or something, GoPro has a way of like cutting the gain during those moments, and You don't get that crackly, blown out sound in your audio. But it doesn't allow you to permanently make adjustments. So like, I don't know, if you're going to be talking really quietly, you can't like raise the gain to compensate for it. And I don't like not having that control. I don't know, if you're looking to get into this and you want to start making some videos, something to think about. Drift also has a wireless remote, so you can turn the camera on or off wirelessly, and the little remote attaches to your wrist, and it's pretty handy, but I've never used it. When I originally opened up the box, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I don't really care. So it stayed in the box. I know it does work, and so that actually gives you a lot more control, especially if you're writing, because you can reach over and you can hit the button and start recording. But yeah, that's something I've been thinking about. There's other little quirks too, like for some reason GoPro footage doesn't play back smoothly in my editing software, while the Drift HD footage does play back smoothly, and I have no idea why that is, because the files are of the same quality level, they're of the same frame rate, they're of the same everything. They're like, for all intents and purposes, they're technically the same size and quality of file, but for some reason when I upload the GoPro footage into the software, it doesn't play back smoothly. And so when I'm editing it, I'm editing like choppy looking footage, and that's something to think about. But depends how much editing you do, and depends how much that sort of thing bothers you, and it also depends on the power of your computer. I would definitely recommend the Drift HD Ghost. They've got a new camera out. I think it's about $350 or $400, and then I think GoPros are about the same price. If you're going to be spending that amount of money and you don't need to put it on your chest or put it on your head without a helmet on, I would definitely recommend the Drift. I'm going to get out of this neighborhood though. I shouldn't have even been here. I came out here thinking I could ride in the desert, and it turns out there's a bunch of sand and bullets flying out there. And I don't really want to be a part of that. So I'm going to go home, and I hope this was educational to somebody.